All right. Thank you for jumping on the Creating Good Problems podcast, where we talk about all things business and life, where people that we speak with are going out and they're creating good problems for themselves and they're building their businesses where they run into these problems and they're overcoming them. And then they're, you know, going to people that maybe if they can't solve those problems, they're going to some people to overcome those problems, or maybe they'll overcome them themselves. But today I have a guest, Heather Irving. She's a really dope person in our community, very helpful agent in our area in the Hampton Roads area. And we'll just be talking in general about real estate and presenting creative offers to sellers and just kind of getting the background of how Heather got started in real estate. So, Heather, I appreciate you coming on. I'm gonna get you up here.
Hello. Thanks so much for
All
having
right.
me.
Yeah, no problem. I appreciate you taking the time to jumping on here.
Of course, anything.
Yeah, yeah. So, just to start off, you know, I I believe we spoke in the past, but I don't remember exactly if you were an agent here first. But like, where did you first start off being an agent at? Are you from this area, or did you just move here?
So I started out being an agent in Jacksonville, Florida. I'm still licensed in Florida.
Okay,
And my husband's military. So we got orders here to Virginia. And then I decided to get licensed here in Virginia. So that's how I became an agent here. I was fixing and flipping in Florida. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get my license so I can list my own properties. So that's
okay,
what I did. And same thing here in Virginia. I was like, well, let me get my license here so I can list my own properties, negotiate my own deals. So
okay, cool. How'd you like the market in Florida? You think it's a little better here, or was the market in Florida pretty cool?
um is the market in Florida is pretty cool. Um, well, Virginia, I mean I guess it all levels out the same, I guess.
Mhm.
I guess the value of properties where I was living in Jacksonville are a lot higher
Yeah, for sure.
versus where I am here. But it just all kind of it levels out with the cost of living and everything. So I mean, it
Okay,
just all makes sense. I
I'm
enjoyed
sure.
Florida. I miss
I want to
Florida.
say, I'm sure you probably like Florida a little better as far as living goes.
Oh yeah, I really miss Florida because I literally lived on the beach. So
Oh yeah,
um,
yeah. Okay,
yeah, yeah, it was nice. It was nice. I miss it.
okay, cool. So, as an agent, you're kind of more so like on the investing side. I mean, of course, you're listing properties and stuff like that, but you have the knowledge of being an investor. When do you think you kind of started on the more so investing and trying to find, subject to deals? Is it kind of when you started the mentorship?
So I was wholesaling before I got my real estate license.
Okay,
Um, and I started that in Florida in 2019. And I ran into a property that I really, really wanted, but it was a crazy situation with it. And the only way to solve that issue was through creative finance. Um,
okay,
and I basically sent out a text message through Pace. So Pace, this was when Pace first started with Batch. And so
oh,
he was giving out the 500 leads and all that. And actually, I was working on this deal before I joined the mentorship. And then
okay,
I was seeing Pace like on social media and how he was working deals creatively. And so I just sent him a message on Facebook and said, hey, can you help me? And he sent me a video message and like he helped me through it before I even joined the mentorship. So after that, I was like, oh yeah, I'm definitely joining this mentorship. I mean, if he helps me like this, I can't imagine what he's going to be able
yeah,
to help me with once I join. So yeah, I found that deal in Florida, and it was a crazy situation where the owner basically had given up on the property because nobody could sell it. And then she had fallen behind on her mortgage, and then she had two mortgages, so it was a crazy situation. The second mortgage was more than the first mortgage,
Oh,
so
okay.
yeah.
Okay. And how long you been in the mentorship for?
I joined in 2020 of October. Yep,
Okay. I say mentorship, but I know Pace is telling us
I
more so
know
now that we should call it a community.
our
So
community.
I should say our community. How long have you been in the community for?
Yeah, I've been in this community for about 3 years. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So basically, as an agent, you know, presenting offers to sellers, how would you say is a comfortable way to, go about? Because I'm doing direct to agent, I'm going to agents and I'm presenting offers to a lot of agents in the area. And some of the agents they'll get it, and you can tell that they more than likely haven't. I got a weather service along. You can tell that more of a lot of these agents they're not really presenting the offers to their sellers because they have that mindset that they just won't accept it, but they haven't even gone to them and even presented the offer. Um, from your perspective,
Yeah.
do you think that's just like a mindset thing, or
Um,
what do you think on that?
I think it's a mindset, and also is a lack of education in the creative finance world. A lot of them just don't understand it, so they don't feel confident with presenting the offer. And some of them, and then once they're feeling that way, then it becomes a mindset issue because then they won't ask and say, "Hey, can you teach me more about this, or can you explain this to me?" Because a lot of real estate agents, well, what we're taught is that we're the experts in real estate, and
Yeah,
so they've they a lot of them feel like, okay, whatever this is has to be some sort of scam because I know I've never read anything about this. Like, so a
yeah,
lot of them just don't want to give it the time in the day because they've never heard of it, and a lot of them are closed minded. And
hmm,
the hardest thing to open is a closed mind,
for
but
sure.
you just have to come at them more of, let me help you, let me educate you on this. If I can stop your client from a financial ruin, let's work together and get it done. Um,
Yeah,
I guess just be more about the client, I guess, when you approach the agent and wanting to help them.
yeah, because it's all about helping the seller get to
Hmm.
their that ultimate goal that they're trying to accomplish. And of course,
Hmm.
when we're dealing with our uh, sellers, they want to make sure that they're getting the price they want, but they want to be comfortable with
Hmm.
what they're going for, of course.
Right. Right.
Yes. So I have some other questions here. What would you say? Like, what's something you would tell other realtors that may not be comfortable with them? Um, as far as presenting a creative offer to the sellers, what is something you think you would tell somebody that they aren't really knowledgeable in it? Would you just tell them to do the research on it, or you kind of show them your credibility?
I think credibility is a big thing to show and prove. Because even when it's not anything creative, an agent won't show your offer to their client unless you can show that you have a proof of funds, which is
Hmm.
basically credibility. So
Yeah,
if you're coming with a creative offer, you definitely have to show some sort of credibility, show that you own and purchase these properties a certain way, and you're, showing that you're an expert in this field of creative finance. That's like a major thing. And once they see that and they know who you are, um, they'll probably be more open to asking you questions because they know that, okay, this guy does this. I know this
mhm,
legal. I've searched all the properties that he's purchased. Let me see if he can teach me some things. So I think that's
yeah,
really all it is, presenting yourself in a professional way with credibility, and
yeah,
they'll be more open to it.
yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. And for because you know when we go to these agents and let's say the seller has a mortgage on their property and we're trying to present a creative offer to them, but a lot of times we need to know kind of what the mortgage balance is.
Mhm,
Well, not a lot of time, but most of the all the time, you have to figure out what the mortgage balance is so you can be able to present a good offer to the seller.
mhm.
Um, a lot of realtors seem like they don't want to, you know, tell you that information. Do you think that's something
That's
that
because they don't that's if they behave that way, it's because they don't understand what you're doing.
okay,
So, if they behave that way, you know you did a horrible job at explaining how you're trying to purchase and what it is exactly. Because
yeah,
if they get to the point where they're like, "Well, what do you need that for?" Or "I would never ask my client for that," then that
yeah,
means that they just don't understand what you're doing. They don't trust who you are, and they don't want to give their clients' information out to somebody who, they don't know. Like you could be anybody.
yeah,
So that it goes back to that. Just explaining subject to thoroughly, even if that means um, sending them a video or two. Um, all that has to do with how they react. So send
hmm,
them a list of properties you purchase subject to, send them a couple of videos, do a
yeah,
Zoom with them. Yeah, Zoom is really good. You'll get a better response too. Just scheduling a Zoom and kind of showing them paperwork and just going above and beyond because
yeah,
this is like a new era of real estate, and a lot of people are just like, "What is this?" So you really have
yeah,
to go in teaching. So
yeah, for sure.
yeah,
I think
yeah.
credibility is very, very big in what we're doing
Hmm.
because we're going out and trying to get these properties, and there's so many people out there that think it's illegal and it's a scam, or
Hmm.
if you're not confident when you're explaining creative options to these agents, then it just doesn't come off right, and they'll push back really hard against you, and you'll send them a LOI and they'll just ignore it.
Hmm.
And I noticed that, after because I'll send LOIs out to agents, and basically after I do that, I'll follow up with them like, "Hey, I sent you an LOI on the property
Hmm.
there. Did you get it?" And it's kind of like they're
Hmm.
just looking over it. So
Yeah, yeah. It's just they
confidence in
just
your
don't
people
feel
with it.
confident with it. That's it. They just don't feel confident in explaining it, and they know that they don't understand it, so they just rather not even take it as far, even though that's not legal. That's the
Mm,
that's the issue. Like that's the
yeah,
blockage right there. It's just that they just don't understand and they don't trust that you are who you say you are. That's all it is.
for sure. Yeah, yeah, for sure.
When a
But
wholesaler, I can tell, like, because I get phone calls, because I'm an investor, I'm a wholesaler. So when I get
uh,
the call for a wholesaler, well, they don't even say they're a wholesaler. They're like, "Hey, I'm looking for some properties," and da 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 da. And I'm just like, I
yeah,
can just already tell that you're a wholesaler, like just the
uh,
way that you kind of started the conversation. And I just cut them off. And I'm like, hey, if you're a wholesaler, it's all good. I love working with wholesalers. Just tell me exactly what you need. I think just really being honest and educating, all that all goes into play. Because we get a lot of those phone calls already. And
yeah, for sure.
they're not professional, they're not educated. And so if you are presenting yourself with a creative finance option and you're doing the same thing, they're gonna push you away. So you got to stand out from the rest.
Yeah, for sure. And they're
Yeah.
just they're just calling you out of the blue, and they're probably reading off the script half the time.
Yeah, they sound the same.
Yeah,
But I don't push them away. I just let them know, like, hey, I used to wholesale. I love working with wholesalers. Let's see how we can work together.
hmm
And that's
And
it. So,
a lot of things that not a lot of things, but what I say to agents a lot of times is, hey, if we can, and Pace taught us this, of course, but I use it all the time, and I re regurgitate it multiple times in my conversation when I'm explaining it. But I just tell the agent like, hey, if I can pay your commission and
Hmm.
we can do a deal like this. Would you be opposed to that? And then that opens their mind. That kind of, tweaks something in their mind and opens their mind a little bit because they know they're getting their commission paid. Because a lot of
Hmm.
realtors, they look at that and they think, oh, well, you're buying it this way. How am I going to get my commission?
Right,
I'm doing
right.
my job here.
Exactly. That's a good point to bring out. Because a lot of them think, okay, well, if you're buying subject to, what is my commissions on that? So they just
Mhm.
have to know like they're getting paid, how much they're getting paid, all that. And all that goes into really thoroughly explaining your intentions.
Yeah, because
Um,
I find myself having to explain it because a lot of them have never done a creative deal before. So they don't know, like,
mhm,
okay, well, how am I getting paid? And I just got to break it down to them like, hey, it's based off the purchase price. You still getting your 3% based off that purchase price. And, we'll give the seller some money down depending on what they need, as long as it works for, everybody. It's a win-win situation every time because the seller may not have enough equity to sell their house, and we can come in and put some money in their pocket and then pay your
mhm.
commission. We'll be paying closing costs most of the time. We take care of that, and it's a win-win scenario for everybody. So you know, creative finance is just a big game changer for all of us. I think
Oh yeah.
I know you can see it too. I know
Oh man.
you're I know this is probably the community itself has probably brought you more opportunities because I see
Oh
what
yeah.
you spoke on stage
Oh
and
yeah.
some more stuff. So congratulations on that.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. So Pace is amazing. He is wonderful. Like I love Pace. And the community is like 10 times. So it's
Yeah,
definitely about the community and connecting and making moves. So
mm,
I'm so fortunate. I this is like joining sub two is like I finally did something right. That was like
yeah,
I finally made a good decision, like joining sub two. So that's how I feel about it.
yeah, for sure. I know I made the right decision because we were just wholesaling at first,
Hmm.
and we just kept running into so many properties where, and I know if we had that knowledge back then, we would have closed a lot more deals
Hmm.
because we were doing a lot of foreclosures and things like that. And
Hmm.
if we had this knowledge back then, it would have just been a real game changer, like
Oh
so
yeah.
much.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I think that's all the questions I got so far. I know you're doing flips in the area, right?
Yes.
And are you dealing with any issues or anything that
Oh
you can kind of
man.
speak on where like you
It's,
you
it's
or
always issues. It's always
you
issues.
there's somewhere where you might have ran into a problem and you learned from it and overcame from it?
Okay, I'll tell you about my most recent issue that I ran into and overcame. I bought a house off a demolition list,
Oh, wow,
and
okay.
um, I didn't do my research. Well, I felt like I did my due diligence
Yeah.
purchasing their property, but I've never purchased a property off a demolition list. And so there's another step to due diligence that I didn't know about. And so basically, I bought this property and I found out that the infrastructure was taken out um, from the house, meaning that the main line from the city was
Mhm.
capped off. And so you couldn't get water to the
Wow.
property. They took the water meter off the property. Same thing with the electrical. It took like the weather box off and all the wiring out that runs to the city main lines, power lines. They took all that stuff off.
Wow, okay. That kinda makes
It's-
sense though.
yeah, that makes sense. It's demolition property. They plan to demo the property.
Yeah, they had
So
to get everything up out of there to
they
make
had to
sure everybody
tap
was
the
safe.
water off to make sure that, there was nothing crazy happening. But that was what I did in research. So now I know when you buy a property off the demolition list, that cost me thousands, by the way,
Mm,
that I didn't budget for. But so when you buy a property off the demolition list, you go and you can request a FOIA. You can request a FOIA from the city, and they'll give you a list of everything that's been done to that property from the beginning of time. Um, and it showed that, hey, in 2015 we took the infrastructure up off the property.
Okay.
So if I would have known that, then I could have budgeted for that, um, and I wouldn't be over budget right now. So,
That's it. So the
but
so you mentioned the FOIA, and you said you bought a demolition property. Uh, is that FOIA report, is that available, you think, for anybody that want to go
oh
out,
yeah,
get a
it's
report like that,
freedom.
or just
It's called
demolition property?
Freedom of Information Act.
Okay.
So any property that you want to wholesale or buy, whatever, you can go to that county courthouse, or you probably can do it online, request it for you on a property address, and they'll send you everything on that property.
Okay.
I think it takes a couple of days, but
Yeah.
yeah, you can find out everything, every fine, everything, everything.
Yeah. I've heard of that before and I've seen it all the time, but I've never actually pulled one before. So that's good information for anybody that's watching this.
Yes.
Go out and get that FOIA report and
Get
see
that
what's
for
going
you.
on with the house.
Get that for you.
Yeah. So as far as what you're doing in your business, I know you're an agent, you're a dope agent in this area. So anybody that want to list the property that's watching this in the future, definitely reach out to Heather. I see you got your number on the screen.
Yes.
Um,
Call me.
and anybody that's, doing deals, definitely reach out to her. But as far as investing goes, uh, what I was curious, what are you kind of doing in your business right now? Do you have cold callers right now, or
So
are you
I
getting
am
a lot of?
not. So everything that I get is brought to me by a wholesaler. So I'm not marketing at all.
That's cool.
Um, so I'm just paying wholesale fees and and or finding something on the MLS and giving up my commissions to get the deal, just negotiating like that.
Okay.
But yeah, I kind
Okay.
of stopped
Definitely.
with the wholesaling because it was I have to have a team of people because
Yeah.
I am a visionary and I can't handle all those aspects of wholesaling. I
And
can't, not by
are you
myself.
are you getting these properties under contract? Because I kind of want to highlight your strengths that you're good at, so people kind of know, what to reach out to you for exactly. Um.
Oh, I can. So if I'm a good closer,
Okay.
so if you did have a property that you were just struggling with getting it, under contract, I can help with that. I
Mm,
buy right now I only want to buy creative deals in Hampton Roads for buying hosts. And
okay.
then if it's at least, well, at most 30K entry fee is what I'm looking for. And then for my fix and flips, 50% of ARV is what I'll buy it right now.
Okay.
So
That's
I hope that
cool.
helps. Did I answer
Yeah.
the question?
Yeah. That helps. That helps a lot. If somebody brings a deal to you and they're uncomfortable with pitching creative or closing the
Hmm.
seller, then they can definitely reach out to you and
Yep.
y'all can work together and get that deal done. It's a lot of people that I had a guy send me a property in Suffolk,
Hmm.
and I can tell that he locked it up at too high of a price because when you see the pictures of the house, it's basically a full gut, and the
Mm-hmm.
ARV of the house is like 20, I would say like 210. He
Mm-hmm.
locked it up maybe at like uh 90,000, something like that. A full gut job's gonna cost around 100K
Oh
by
yeah.
itself.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. He definitely locked that up too high.
yeah, he's trying to say, hey, you got any buyers? I got a property.
Mm-mm. Nope.
I'm like, that's a full gut, and I think he locked
Yeah.
that up way too high. So,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, I'll send it out to them. Maybe they'll be interested. They may find a higher ARV that you came across, but that doesn't
Yeah.
look good as
Yeah.
far as the numbers right now.
Yeah. No. No, because you're already at 100,000 before you leave the closing table. You're already probably a little over 100 before you leave, and then you got to do rental. Then you
Yeah,
already got 200K, and then you making no 10K is your closing costs.
I know.
So you're not making anything.
Yeah, that was a tight one.
Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah.
I get a lot of wholesalers reaching out to me with deals as well. So I try to help the best way I can,
Mhm,
send a deal out to my buyers, even if I think
mhm,
it might not be the best deal.
mhm,
I'll shoot it out to a few people that I know will take it a little easier. Some people will be like, "What what is this you sending me?" But some guys they'll actually be a little more lenient.
mhm. And I'm also trying to. I already created a list of. I think my son about to run in here. I created a list of pre foreclosures. Like I'm adding a property like
Okay,
every time I get free time. And then I'm okay with giving my like if I know it's a lead, I'll just give it away. So
okay,
if anybody wants to just get started, um, just calling leads, I'll give the leads and I'll help you. I'll guide you along the way. So
dope, dope.
yeah.
Well, yeah, I appreciate you jumping on here. And keep doing what you're doing in the WhatsApp group because you're kind of spearheading a lot of the stuff that's going on in there. You did mention something not too long ago about I guess we'll be like getting on a Zoom call to make calls together or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think
Power
that'll be
hour.
really dope.
Yeah.
Power hour. Yeah, yeah.
Yep. Yep. So I'm
That's
trying to
something.
like I think so up north what the sub two leaders are doing there, they actually meet up and um in like a conference hall room and they're actually like calling and helping each other on the phone. So I'm
That's
trying to
that's
decide
dope.
which way we need to go because everybody's so spread out, through the seven
Yeah.
cities. So I'm
Hmm.
trying to decide, whether it's good for us to all come together or just do it via Zoom.
Yeah, I
So
think coming together would be really, really dope if we can work that out. But a Zoom
I
call, of course, is the next
yeah.
best thing where because when I started about 2 years after I started, Keston, he started a virtual office.
Hmm.
And I'm not sure if you knew about
I
that.
remember. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. So it was me, Daryl Allison, and a whole bunch of different closers
Hmm.
in
Hmm.
there, and we were always in there every day as a community, just making calls together, and it helped me a lot to stay consistent. So
Yeah. Stay consistent.
that
Yeah.
that'll help out a lot of people. We had I can't remember his name, but we had a new guy that came into the WhatsApp group. I think his name was
Hmm.
David. I was just kind of letting him know that, if he wants, when I make phone calls, I can hop on a Zoom and
Hmm.
he can jump in there and just watch me make phone calls and he can, do the same and
Hmm.
kind of learn from how I'm speaking with sellers because he uh, kind of new with pitching
Hmm.
creative. So just, watching somebody do it is really helpful.
Yeah. It give you that confidence too. Like, man,
Yeah.
it's not that hard. Let me go
Yeah,
do it. So
exactly.
yeah. Yeah.
That'll push people over the edge for sure.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I appreciate you jumping on here with me today. This was one of my longer videos, so I think we did good.
I appreciate you inviting me for the interview. I really do. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. I appreciate your time. All right, and you
You're
have a good
welcome.
one.
You too. Bye.
Bye.